Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 31 of What If Naruto was sent to the Marvel world. Remember to get this one to 200 like as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto's from the two greatest clans, and enjoy that guys. And over on Anime King 2, I post a new episode of What If Naruto was a god amongst man. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And I also post a new episode of What If Naruto was a smart prodigy. So go ahead and check out that and enjoy as well. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support guys, and remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin this new episode. Start the intro.
I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails.
So, the last time we left off, Naruto went. As he said his goodbyes, he knew that time was up. When he went through the door, he came back as he was in Frisia. He was in her part of the mindscape. As she asked him if he enjoyed that little, but she couldn't get to finish that sentence as he started to strangle her. As she told him that she wasn't the one behind this, as she asked him if he didn't remember. As Naruto then remembered when he came back to Earth, as he was looking at the memorial stone. The Mind Stone didn't want to be sealed away, so it showed him something to make him keep it beside it. As Naruto didn't remember everything. When he came to, he was in the real world. He was in the elemental nations, as he sealed away the Mind Stone inside of the memorial stone. Some time passed after that, as Naruto came by Laura. Clint had passed, and it was very difficult on them, as Naruto begged Laura to eat something because she really eat if you didn't force her, as she ate a sandwich and drank a juice. As the kids were in the next room watching TV, as Director Ross then arrived, as he told Naruto, the only reason Tony is not blaming for everything is because of his reputation and what he did in the New York attack. But the government is releasing a policy. If they don't sign, they will be rogue agents, and America will go after them. As Tony and the others are forced to sign. But this is not on Naruto after what he did there. And he was the one to also kill Ultron, so this policy is not on him. But the agreement is he cannot make anyone from S.H.I.E.L.D. join his team or that Wonder Woman. As Naruto accepted that, some time past the funeral, everyone was piling in. As Tony arrived, as Laura walked up to him, she started to curse at him as she was angry. As she pulled away the sunglasses and knew that his eyes were red, tears were already filling in them. As she hugged him. As Naruto went on the stage first, as he talked about Clint and told them that Clint didn't want them to stay behind and blame themselves and blame each other for this. He would have wanted them to live a happy life like what he had lived. The time passed as Lila hung beside Naruto the entire time as he held on to her, just holding her because she was scared and she was sad at the same moment. As the place started to get cleared up, as everyone started to go away, as Naruto was going to find the other Infinity Stone, as he asked Thor if he wanted to tag along, as Thor told him yes, he would enjoy a space adventure with him. Some time passed after that, as Naruto went to visit Wanda, as she was at Pietro grave, as Naruto walked her home, as he told her about what the government is doing, as she told him that it wouldn't be bad to fight on the good side for once. As he gave her a kunai, she asked him what is this, as he told her to just throw it, and he will teleport there and be there if she need anything. As she thanked him for that and said goodnight, as she went into her apartment. So yeah guys, that was basically the last part we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check over yourself, so let's start this new episode. Jessica Drew couldn't help but feel awkward as she stood in the middle of the Barton home, as she was in the living room, tapping her foot on the table, nervous, as she looked over at Ileana who was leaning against the kitchen table. Aren't you? She asked. Not really, Ileana said. Going into space, to a place called Knowhere, doesn't make you nervous? Asked Jessica. I was being trained by an immortal warlock who can send your astral form through all plane of existence. Space isn't that much weirder compared to that. Shaking her head, Jessica rolled her eyes. Sure, okay. As Ileana was about to say something, a loud twang could be heard from outside, as rainbow colors could be seen, as little footsteps could be heard, as little Lila went down to see what was the commotion, as Cooper was standing on top of the stairs. What was that? Jessica said. Laura walked out from the dining room. If that man left one of those marks on my lawn again, I'm going to skin him for sure. As Lila threw the door open to see Thor standing there on the porch. As he wasn't wearing his thick armor, he was wearing a sleeveless leather shirt, and his cape was lighter to prevent it from dragging on the ground. As he smiled and waved at Lila and Laura, but Laura started swinging at him with a rolled up magazine in her hand. What did I tell you about burning my grass? She said as he swung at him. Jessica raised her eyebrow as she watched the man dodge as she nudged Ileana. This is Thor. Said Ileana as she watched. Laura calmed herself down as Thor helped her back up the stairs. As she sat down, aren't you going along? She said. Even Naruto is getting dressed up for where you're going. Thor chuckled. An Asgardian can survive the perils of space, he said. He looked around. Where is Naruto? Natasha's helping him get ready upstairs, Laura said. He gave her a questioning look, but he said nothing as he turned his attention to the two other women as they were wearing their Infinity Watch uniform, the tight armor to protect them from the dangers of the galaxy beyond. Meanwhile, upstairs, Naruto was looking at his reflection, satisfied that his suit fit him perfectly. The girl can make an awesome set of armor. That's for sure, he said. Where did you find her anyway? Natasha asked from behind him. Sure? Oh, you know, Naruto said. Those shield files you put out. I never heard her file on any of those encryptions, said Natasha. You must have missed her then, Naruto said. She shook her head as she dropped the subject. As she patted him on the back. There, you're all set. As he grinned, the armor that Shuri had made for him, it was black with red, orange designs going down. Its orange belt buckle had the symbol of their team, Infinity Watch. The symbol for Infinity. Okay, just one more test and we're golden, Naruto said, as he pressed his shoulder, as a helmet came around his face perfectly. Is it good? She asked. Not good. Great, Naruto said. Natasha walked past him as she picked up his shirt and his jacket that he just threw around. Agent Drew, do you trust her? He deactivated his helmet. I worked with her before. She's more than capable of helping for what we're doing. That's not what I meant, she said as she folded his clothes. Yeah, I know, Nerd says. He flexed his hands. If she's bad news, I will know soon enough. This is a test then, Natasha asked. Pretty much, Naruto said, as he finished expecting the suit. So how do I look? Like a Power Ranger, she said. As he scratched his cheek, I don't know what that is. Is that bad? I'm kidding. It looked really good, she said. A knock came from the door, followed by Cooper's muffled voice. Thor is here, he said. Alright, thanks, Naruto said. Grin still in place, he looked towards Natasha. Alright, time to go. Stepping out of the room, he smiled at Cooper. The boy gave him a small wave as he went back to his room. As he just sighed as Cooper went inside. As Naruto walked off, the moment he reached toward the stairs, a bundle wrapped around his leg. You're coming back, right? Placing a hand on Lila's head. Sure I am, Naruto said. And that's a promise. Okay, she said, but she didn't let go of his leg. Gently, he pried her off of him as he kneeled down. As he reached out his hand with his pinky extending forward. As she wrapped her pinky around his, as they did a pinky swear, as she let him pass. She followed behind him though, as he walked outside as she gave Thor a nod of hello. Looking at the small group he formed, Naruto said, time to go. From her chair, Laura called out, good luck. Make sure to not have that baby until I get back, Naruto said, as he stepped down the porch steps. She laughed as she rubbed her stomach. No promises. As Naruto spotted the large Bifrost imprint into the fresh short grass. As he turned towards Thor, really? Thor walked past, brushing off the question. So where's the ship you've been talking about? I called shotgun, he said. He then looked towards Ileana and Jessica. That is what you call the front seat, correct? Ileana gave a helpful nod. Sorry buddy, Naruto said, but I need my co-pilot to sit shotgun. He then looked at Jessica. That's you by the way. Me? She was confused. Why? Flying my ship is about the same as flying the Quinjet. And last I heard you was one of the top Quinjet pilots back in the day. He then bit on his thumb as he wiped the blood across his palm as he went through hand signs. Don't worry, I'll have the co-pilot controls locked. I just need someone next to me, just in case. Just in case what? She asked. Ileana rolled her eyes. Use your imagination. Space stuff, obviously. As Jessica gave the woman a glare, Naruto slammed his hand on the ground. In a large poof of smoke, Kushina appeared in front of them. Looking up at the ship proudly, Naruto said, "Yep, space stuff." "Why aren't we just teleporting there with one of your seals?" said Ileana, knowing that this was going to be a long ride. "The seal I put there isn't active for some reason." Naruto said as the big door opened, as the stairway came down. The collector probably had the entire place scoured from bottom to top from the last time I was there, as all of them went inside, after waving the family goodbye. As Naruto started to press button, as Jessica was beside him as she was memorizing everything just to make sure if she need to do this. Behind Naruto, Ileana said as she turned towards Thor. She then looked at his hammer. Was that thing really made by the dwarfs of Nidvalir? Thor was surprised. "You know of it?" "Sure," Ileana said. "Master Minora spoke highly of it. Is it true that Excalibur was forged there to the Olympians?" "Yes," Thor said, "but no Olympians proved themselves worthy. So as an insult, Zeus hurled the weapon from the planet. Its magic eventually drove it to Midgard, where it waited for a worthy master." "Did you ever get to see it before it was lost?" asked Ileana. Thor nodded. "Once, I saw it being tested by the dwarf king, Eitri. It was truly fearsome." Naruto glanced at Jessica as he looked towards her throttle. "If you need to take control, hurt the throttle twice. Other than that, the controls are similar to the Quinjet, minus a few things." "Minus a few things?" she questioned. "This is an alien spacecraft. The few similarities are rather short when it comes to Quinjet. You don't actually expect me to be able to..." "I expect you to watch and listen," to cut her off. "Ileana might be my second in command, but I need a co-pilot. You got the experience, I know you can adapt. Give it time and you will learn. Trust me," he said. Though his voice was firm, it also held a reassurance that caused Jessica to sigh in defeat. She nodded as she gripped the throttle and jerked it forward twice, as everything on her dashboard lighted up green, signaling she had control. "Good," Naruto said as he got the control back. "We just need to set our coordinates to the nearest jump point, which shouldn't be too far." "Jump point," said Jessica. "Jump points are gateway. It helps to get from one place to another. It's pretty much like Ileana's portal, only man-made." As he tapped into the stream as he locked in where he needed to go, Jessica nodded. "And who would make one of these jump points just outside of our planet?" "The Krees have an invested stake in your planet. They like to drop by every once in a while to make sure you haven't blown yourself up yet. But there is nothing hostile about it, I think." "You think?" she said. 85%. "Yeah, 85%, he said. She massaged her forehead. "Let's just get on with it," she said. "Right," Naruto said. "Get comfortable, gang. We got 54 jumps." Minutes later, when Naruto hit the throttle and the thing started to push, everything around them was like a blur, as Jessica could feel everything in her stomach lifting up. All the while, Thor cheered. Ileana giggled gleefully as Naruto laughed like a madman and grinned as well, as the ship jumped to the next jump point. Eventually, after several minutes, Jessica grew accustomed to the speed, as a grin came across her face as she understood how special this day was. She was flying through the void of space, a passenger on an alien spacecraft that was going towards Knowhere, a place that named Knowhere. The boys back home would be jealous. But like all things, it came to an end. As one jumped after another, it started to become rather boring. Behind her, Ileana read from a worn tone as she flipped through it and took in the mystic knowledge, as Thor was flipping his hammer in his hand, catching it effortlessly, as he watched the stars blaze by. But Naruto wasn't bored. He was piloting a spacecraft going 1,000 miles per hour. Needing to break the boredom, she turned towards Naruto. "So this stone, what does it do exactly?" asked Thor. Naruto said. "He's the one that almost got killed by it." Thor looked up from his name. "Well, it's not really much as a stone, such as a jello kind of thing, sluggish. But either way it's dangerous. I would advise you not to touch it if you can." "Then how are we grabbing it exactly?" Ileana asked. "Rest assured it is encased in an Asgardian lockbox," Thor said. "The collector would be a fool to open it, so it should still be locked when you go to collect it for yourself." "What will it do if he was foolish enough?" asked Jessica. "It is difficult to define," Thor said as he threw his hammer up and catched it again, and threw it back up. "If one were to say, holding the stone with zero way of control, it could cut a fabric into reality itself, altering everything that is unknown." "And with control?" asked Jessica. "With control, reality has no meaning or definition. You can do with it as you like." "That's scary," said Ileana. "Which is why we're going after it, so that kind of thing doesn't happen," Naruto said. An alert then popped up. "This is the last one, guys. We will be there in a couple of minutes. In those passing minutes, Jessica prepped her sidearm. Ileana looked over her shoulder amused. You're bringing a gun? Is something wrong? Said Jessica. No, just kinda weird that you bring that to an alien colony that sit inside of the head of a celestial. I still find it hard to believe that we're going inside the head of a space god, Jessica said as she slid the gun into her holster. Believe it, Naruto said, as he flinched at himself using that phrase. We're here. The ship came to a stop in open space, and there, perched before them, was the floating mass of a skull. Wait, is it supposed to look like that? Said Jessica. No, it isn't, Naruto said. Knowhere was a large anomaly. It has its own gravitational pull, oxygen, and other things for sustaining life. The skull of the Celestial, being once known as Ethan the Searcher, was twice the size of a Kree battleship. Almost every part of the cranium has been converted by the Tavan group, the empty skull now acting as a hubble, with gambling, murder, prostitution, slavery, human trafficking, and bounty hunting all ran through here, all by the hands of the benefactor and their collector. But all of that was now on fire. Who could have done this? Thor said as he gripped his hammer as he flew closer to the skull. Knowhere is sandwiched right between the Kree and Shi'ar borders. It could have been any one of them, Naruto said. But you don't think that's the case, Ileana said. No, Naruto said. We'd have spotted a Kree battleship by now if it was one of them. And this isn't Shi'ar Empire way of doing things. They're not the ones to throw around brute force, and I can't see them going after Knowhere and his collector. I don't see any warships nearby, Thor said. It's possible we just missed the attack. Agree, Jessica said. More than likely, the bulk of the attack is over. The question is it safe to investigate? We don't really have a choice, Ileana said, getting up from her seat. We don't know if the collector is still there, and if he's dead or alive, or if he still has a stone in his possession. I don't think it's smart to leave any of that up in the air. It is deciding then, Naruto said, as he thrust the ship forward as it went through the burning eye. This is a get in, get out, no dilly-dallying. We get the stone if it's still there, if not, we figure out who attack and go from there. The three nodded as they venture into the fires of Knowhere. Minutes later, stepping out of the ship, we stick together, Naruto ordered, as they looked out at the destroyed city. Thor, you're up front, Ileana in the back, Jess with me. All three nodded, but Jessica gave Naruto a side glance at being called Jess. As the squad stepped forward, Thor holding his trusty hammer at ready, Ileana with her mystical arts, and Jessica with her pistol on the ready. Thor then raised his hand as the group came to a stop, as a Cryololian woman collapsed in front of them from exhaustion. Her pink skin was covered in burns and cuts. Her face was scrunched up in pain as she tried to crawl away. Hey, Naruto called out. A figure then landed beside the woman, their blade driving down into her. She screamed out in pain as Thor shot out to meet them as Jessica, without a moment of hesitation, pointed her gun towards the figure torso and opened fire, but the bullet simply bounced off. Thor released a mighty swing into the figure's torso. The sound of bone breaking, metal bending, and flesh tearing was heard as the figure was sent flying from the heavy blow. Thor then looked down at the woman, but she was already dead. What was that? Ileana said. A Centaurian, Naruto said, as he flipped the armor alien on his back. They're like those old-timey warriors, I always forget their name. Kinda sound like ramen or something. Romans, said Jessica as she stood beside Naruto, looking at the alien as it was heavily armored, with life juice seeping out of his mouth. His skin tone was a light blue, with a darker half on his upper half of his face, and a lighter skin going down. His helmet has fallen off after landing, and it was now sitting in the pool of blood. The blade he used to kill the girl, it seemed like a pop out, as it was coming from the gauntlet on his arm. The girl's a Calorian, Thor called out. Sif told me that the collector has been keeping one or two as a slave. We're close then, said Jessica. Thor walked up to the group. Centaurians are light years away. What do they gain from sacking Knowhere? Wait, which Centaurians are these? Naruto asked. Centaurian 6, Thor said. Naruto quickly grabbed onto Jessica's arm. Go back to the ship, you and Ileana now. I'll send a clone with you, but get the hell out of here. What? Said Ileana. What the hell happened to sticking together? No, isn't the time for that, Naruto said. This became way too dangerous. You guys are ready for this. If you don't leave, you will die now. Get it? All plans have been thrown out the window, and I need to listen to me now. Get to the ship and get out of here. Thor and I will be with you in a second. She bit back the argue in her mind. As she could see his face, he was panicked, as she gripped Jessica's shoulder. Come on, we're going. Jessica knew better than to argue against orders, but she pulled away from the woman's grip and walked herself. As Ileana summoned a portal, as Jessica gave Naruto one last glance before being pulled away. So this is it, said Kurama. Seems like it, Naruto said. As Naruto saw that Thor was confused. Over 2 decades ago, Centaurian 6 was a victim of a planet-wide genocide. Half the population was wiped out. It didn't get a lot of publicity because of who was responsible. 5 years later, the planet rescinded its sovereignty, broke off all tie with major empires, and pledged its loyalty to the man who slaughtered 3 billion of its people. Who, Thor asked. The Mad Titan himself, Naruto said. Meanwhile, Jessica blinked as she and Ileana stepped inside the ship. I don't think I'll ever get used to that. Sorry, Ileana said. You think you can lift us off? I can lift us off, maybe, said Jessica. As she sat down in a co-pilot chair as she tried to remember. Maybe, she said. What was going on back there anyway? Naruto is spook. And if you see that, you can know it's really serious. Ileana said. As she saw this, something caught her eye. From outside the ship, as she walked towards the ship window, as she squinted her eyes to look, what was that? As she saw the shine of their armors first, a platoon of Centaurian soldiers emerged, with their rifles pointing at the ship. Shit, Ileana said. Jessica blinked as she got up. What do we do? What? Said Ileana. Naruto said that you're the second in command, Jessica said. What's the call? As Ileana looked over the crowd. Alright then, let's see what you can do, Spider-Woman. Please don't call me that, said Jessica. Meanwhile, Thor led Naruto through Knowhere. As there was a lack of Centaurians, he hadn't seen any, as they were going towards the collector then. What they did find was countless bodies being burned away by the flames. Finally, the two came upon the collector's museum. The building was massive. It was like a complex movie theater. As Naruto placed his hand on the doorway, a thud echoed from behind them. As he turned to see a massive Centaurian soldier, the beast of a man stood at 8 feet tall, his shoulders making him seem like 2 men combined into one, decorated with heavy armor that protected him from head to toe, as it had a weight that caused the concrete to crack upon his entry. In his hands, 2 massive broadswords with blood stain on them. I got this, Thor said, as he thrust his trusty hammer, but the thing deflected the hammer off of him as it crashed to the side. Naruto looked at a kind of surprised Thor. You got this, he asked. Thor extended his hand as his hammer came towards him, as thunder rolled in the background, as he pointed the hammer towards the beast as lightning shot out. Yeah, he's got this, Naruto said as he opened the door and stepped inside. Minutes later, Naruto couldn't help but take in the museum as he crept along the impressive building. The fire had yet to get into the building, leaving everything in contact, as Naruto saw a lot of trees from different planets. As Naruto saw strange insects in the next part, as Naruto entered where the prized relics were. As Naruto saw the collector, his cold, dead body on the ground. Standing over the body, its murderer, his back facing Naruto. I had hoped you come, Maelstrom. Naruto stepped forward into the gallery. Why is that, he asked. The Titan let out a chuckle. I wanted the pleasure of meeting the strongest man in the universe. It's an honor. As Naruto frowned at the man in front of him, as he was too busy looking at his hands. Well, what was in it? I kind of thought that honor thing went to you, Naruto said. Huh. Well, I'm not the one holding 3 infinity stones, the man said. As he turned to face the blonde, he was just as large as you remember him, standing a few inches shorter than Hulk. His body was covered in a golden armor with black pieces highlighting it, but there was dry blood on it. Sitting on his head was a helmet, leaving the front view of his face open. Resting in his right hand was a massive double-bladed sword that was as tall as Naruto. As Naruto saw the red glare coming from his left hand, as Naruto saw a golden gauntlet on his hand, sitting on the gauntlet was the reality stone as it was shining. I wonder where do you keep them, Thanos said. I don't think that you will keep them in your back pocket. As Naruto looked away from the reality stone and looking Thanos in the eye, they're somewhere safe. Oh, I'm sure they're somewhere far away from here, Thanos said. As Thanos started to walk around Naruto, as the both of them started to circle each other, wasteful. To have that kind of power at your disposal and squander it the way you do. Imagine what you could do with them, the things you never thought possible, the power at your fingertip. Naruto looked around. Something like this, he said. We both know you can do much worse without the stones. Something even worse than this, Thanos said. I've been watching you, Naruto. I see so much of myself in you. It's a shame I didn't catch you sooner. The things we could have accomplished, a life we could have saved. You do that often, Naruto said. Kidnap helpless kids and turn them into weapons. Weapons? Thanos said. They are my children. I take them in and show them what true strength is. Killing billions of life make you strong. No wonder Gamora is so messed up. I can't imagine what you fill their head with. I fill it with knowledge, Thanos said. Knowledge of what the universe needs to survive. Way to save it is use the Infinity Stones as an executioner blade on half the universe. Salvation cannot come with tremendous sacrifice. So long as you're not the one sacrificing a damn thing, Naruto said. There won't be any exceptions to my purge, Thanos said. Not even myself. You and everyone else will have the same chance of life as I will. 50-50. Fear. There's another way, Naruto said. There's always another way. If I snap my finger, Thanos said as he lifted up his Infinity Gauntlet, snapped his finger to show his point. I can make it so that all of the planet resources are replenished. No lessons would have been learned. I will just enable future generations to squander what was given to them. To sterilize half of the universe scale. That is the only way. Population control. That is the only way. With a flash of red, the galaxy was swept away, replaced by an unfamiliar planet. Looking around, Thanos gestured to the thriving civilizations surrounding them. This is Century 6. Look how they strive. Look how they are happy to know that your future generation will strive prosperously. The entire universe could have that. What's so wrong with it? Century 6 was beautiful. As the two titans watched on, as Naruto could feel the love and peace in the air, the acceptance of their tragedy. But what did it cost? What price are you willing to make everyone pay for this kind of happiness, Naruto asked. Whatever it takes, Thanos said. Naruto paused as the illusion faded away as the gallery came back. There has to be another reason you'll be here. I can't imagine you just stick around to say hello. I honestly wanted to meet you face to face. I want to convince you of where this was going. And where is that, Naruto asked. Thanos flexed the gauntlet as the reality stone glared dangerously. One way or another, we're going to clash over the stones you collected. There will be no mercy on my part. I will set this universe ablaze. I will tear the universe apart. Conquer every planet that has a remote idea to where they are. But you can prevent that. If you don't give me the stones now, you wish you had by the time I pried them from your broken fingers. The ground exploded under Naruto from him flexing his chakra. Maybe I could use those stones to kill you right here and now. We both know you're too afraid to use them. Too afraid of what you could do, what you can do. Why else would you not use them? I can't help but wonder what you would use them for if that temptation drive you over the edge. I could always give your dreams to you as a reward, but you're not that kind of man. And how do you figure that? Because I am not, Thanos said. As Naruto summoned his blade, as Thanos weaved his blade through the air, as the both of them dashed towards each other and smashed their weapons together. Meanwhile, with Kushina, you're telling me that Uzumaki is fighting the guy that we're supposed to keep these stones from, and we're not helping him, Jessica said. Remember what was said about the reality stone? The Shadow Clone asked. Thanos could probably kill Thor without it, but with it, he could kill him with a snap of his finger. Then why bring us along? Why make this team in the first place, Ileana asked. The boss can probably fight Thanos on his own and probably survive. But you see what Thanos have backing him up. He just doesn't have armies as his beck and call. He has planets. The boss needs help keeping the Infinity Stone safe. So he gets us, Jessica said. He doesn't need a team. He needs an army. The boss is an army, the clone said. What he needs is friends. As Jessica just stood there, stunned, Ileana got up. He got one. As the Shadow Clone smiled as Jessica looked down, in thought. Meanwhile, Naruto grunted as he slid away from Thanos' strike, shaking off the numbness in his arms. No move was wasted by Thanos. He was brutal and deliberate. And his armor was sturdy, able to take a hit from his Senjutsu strike and just stay fine. Naruto thought he would have an advantage over the Titan because of his style of weapon, but the man twirled around like it was a broomstick. He swung it so hard down on his katana that Naruto had to bleed chakra into his sword to keep it from snapping. Thanos chuckled as he pushed Naruto back. I'm going to kill you if you don't stop tiptoeing around, son. As he shoved Naruto and made him stumble. Seeing an opening, Thanos swung his sword down as he slashed deep into Naruto's shoulder. But, boom, Naruto exploded, swallowing Thanos into smoke and fire. Several Naruto dropped down as they were swinging their blades as they dashed forward with their blades covered in lightning. As they enter, a flash of red could be seen. Hovering from above the cloud, Naruto narrowed his eyes as he was currently in a 6-path stage mode. As a red engine started to guide the smoke, breaking it apart into several million needles. and with a flex of the gauntlet, those smoke needles shot out, tearing through all of the clothes. Naruto threw his hands out as he blasted a wind of air, blocking off the smoke needles that came towards him. As the needles was nothing but smoke, Naruto dashed towards Thanos as he sent a drop kick towards the man's skull. Stumbling back, Thanos swung his sword towards Naruto, but Naruto ducked as he activated his magnet release. Naruto's eyes widened as it didn't take effect as he rolled out of the blade's way. As Thanos looked at Naruto, the Reality Stone is truly awesome in its versatility. To be able to cancel the magnetism of an object, it is quite useful against a man who has control over metal, don't you think? So, magnet release is out, awesome, Naruto thought, in a sarcastic tone. Then melt the bastard, said Kurama. Agreed, Naruto said. As Naruto dashed forward and thrust his blade forward, he then speed through hand sign as Thanos knocked away the blade as Naruto used magma release. First, Naruto fired off a wind wall as he smashed into Thanos as Thanos twirled his weapon around to try and block it. As Naruto then speed through hand sign, fire style, great fire annihilation as he created a storm of fire. But with a flash of red, that fire was turned into bubbles. Naruto blinked in shock as another flash of red went over the bubbles. In the corner of his eye, he saw another bubble went towards the edge of his katana blade. As the bubble touched the sword edge, it popped. Boom! Meanwhile, the clone flinched as he got memories. The boss is fighting Thanos now. Ilyana swallowed hard. Is he winning? She asked. It's pretty even, both are just testing the waters right now. Meaning, Ilyana said, if this keep going, they're gonna destroy the place. Thanos drive his sword into the ground as he sat down on a boulder. That didn't even leave a scratch, did it? Naruto stood up as he brushed himself off. There was only dust on him, not even a scratch. You're pretty handy with that stone already, Naruto said. I'm guessing that gauntlet is responsible. As Thanos looked at the gauntlet, it was crafted to handle the power of all 6 Infinity Stones. This took 2 decades to form. The complicated enchantment allow it to access all form of the stone power. With this, I can take over galaxy after galaxy with a single stone. But you don't want universe, Naruto said. So what then? Every journey comes to an end. If you don't kill yourself in your genocide, what's the end of your story? Maybe you can open up a bakery, Naruto said. Maybe you can buy some Thanos figurines. Or start a bed and breakfast. Thanos chuckled. If you survive the purge, maybe I'll tell you. Naruto summoned his sage path cloak as he started to flick violently. You honestly think the survivors of the purge will make you live the ending you want? It is not likely, Thanos said. They're free to their anger, but my goal isn't the concern or the anger they have against me. It's about what it does for everyone. Thanos then stopped as he felt a shift in the air. The ground started to crack everywhere. Everything started to vibrate violently. His eyes squinted as Naruto became as bright as a star. He raised up his infinity gauntlet arm to block the light. As it then vanished, he could not help but admire the man in front of him as a purple glow surrounded Naruto. His hair dancing with a purple color in the air as he entered Cosmic Sage mode. As Naruto opened his eyes and flexed his body a bit. In the blink of an eye, Thanos' eyes widened as Naruto drive his fist into his stomach, bending the armor. As Thanos felt it bend from the force, he flexed the gauntlet. Red energy enveloping the ground beneath them. As he started to break the ground apart, but it started to glitch. It wasn't doing like it was told. His confusion quickly came to realization. You can't stop the stone, he said. This form you're using is cosmic energy. That's the only way you can stop the Reality Stone. Naruto didn't respond, he just drive his backhand straight into Thanos' throat. Thanos stepped back as he gasped for air, intersecting the bastard. Drain what little cosmic energy you gathered up, idiot, Kurama said. Kill him. Now! I know, said Naruto, as Naruto drive his foot down to Thanos' throat. But Naruto phased right through him as Thanos' body was enveloped by a red glow. No, Thanos said, you cannot cancel out the stone, but you can counter the preparation if you have the opening. Interesting, he said as he pointed the gauntlet towards Naruto. Let's test that, shall we? The Reality Stone and lit up as engines surrounded the ground underneath them. As 4 hands made from stone burst from the ground, Naruto leaped up in the air. As they chased after him, their arms being fed by the Reality Stone. From the ever-growing arms, other arms emerged from that, making it like a large spider web covering the entire area. Naruto, tired of them, threw his hands out as he released a burst of lightning. The lightning tore the hands apart. Seeing his attack wasn't working, Thanos released his control over the hands as they froze in place. As Naruto shot down towards Thanos, As Naruto blurred away, Thanos looked around for him, but Naruto appeared behind him and drive his foot into the Titan kneecap. Roaring as he felt the bone snap, he dropped to his good knee. Naruto appeared on Thanos' left as he summoned a truth-seeking ball, as he formed it into a sword and drive it down on Thanos' arm. And with one smooth swing, the Infinity Gauntlet dropped to the ground. Roaring in pain and anger, purple blood painted the ground underneath them. As Naruto placed the blade in Thanos' face. Yield. Thanos huffed with pain. Just do it. Get it over with, son. You don't get easy way out, Naruto said. Thanos chuckled. Is this supposed to show that you're better than me? Mercy isn't sending me to corner to think about my mistakes. Mercy is taking away what I possess. From where I'm standing, you're not much of a threat. I will always be a threat, Thanos said. Change is coming. You, me, we are change. If it's not me, it will be after you soon enough. We are inevitable. As Naruto drive the blade forward in Thanos' chest. As Thanos coughed up blood. Perhaps I underestimated you, son. As the blade dispersed into nothingness. As Thanos collapsed over. As Naruto saw the Infinity Gauntlet and picked it up. Thanos' arm still inside. The stone vibrating. Another flash of light caught his eye. Slowly, Thanos' body started to be eaten away by the red energy. And the gauntlet in Naruto's arm faded away as well. Thor then burst inside. Apologies for the wait, he said. That Centaurian is a tough nut to crack. Not that I couldn't crack that nut. If I wanted to, I could have. He just disappeared before I could. But Naruto ignored him as he was speaking to Kurama. The bastard was an illusion all along. Naruto walked up to Thor as he placed a hand on his shoulder. Come on, we're leaving. Thor couldn't get a word out before they disappeared in a flash of yellow. Meanwhile, what will you do now, my lord? As Other was kneeling in front of Thanos, as a gem vibrating dangerously on the Infinity Gauntlet. Even with the Reality Stone, I am no match against a Maelstrom, said Thanos. But my lord, you are the most powerful. The Maelstrom has 3 Infinity Stones, you fool. No being has dared to wield such a power. He's the most powerful being in the universe now. As you say, my lord, said the other. Ebony then walked up to the other side. What would you have us do, my father? How do you break a man, my boy? Thanos asked. You break what he loves. Thanos smirked. I have teach you well, my son. You made me proud. Time skip. 3 months later, the official signing went on today. Of the individual acts to sign, Tony Stark, James Rhodes, and Natasha Romanoff, they were present. The anchor turned his head towards the next camera. Absent was Steve, Captain America, Sam, Falcon, Wilson. Most believe that Captain America will be the first to sign, and now they're questioning his motives. Also absent, Naruto Uzumaki, not an official member of the Avengers though, but most thought he would appear at the signing today. But inside source said he's not within that right. Many thought he would share support for the passing. That struck. On May 22nd, recent polls show support for the alien hero has gone up dramatically, while support for the Avengers has plummeted to an all-time low. The television was then muted as Jessica Drew looked down at Ileana the raised eyebrow. You really had to set up a TV instead of helping with the move-in. Ileana shrugged, looking around the room. There was no furniture or decoration, just a flat screen TV sitting there. And I want to see who signed. You already know who was going to sign. Secretary Ross told us over a week ago, said Jessica. Do you honestly think that anyone would change their mind? I had hope, said Ileana. Don't tell me that you think Captain America should be considered a criminal. He isn't considered a criminal, he's considered retired. And unless he breaks that agreement, it should stay that way. The law is a law, Jessica said. If you think Captain America will retire, you're delusional, said Jessica. I would rather think that than knowing that he break the law. No, come on. The Uzumaki clones cannot do all the work, said Jessica. Then what's the point of them then, said Ileana, as she grumbled as she followed Jessica outside. Parked in front of the building set a moving truck. In it was appliances and furnitures that Shuri had bought for them. Standing beside it, the real Naruto as he watched his clones wheeled off the things off the truck, as he signed away several documents by the delivery man. As Naruto passed the clipboard to the man. So, what do you guys think, Naruto said. It's big, Jessica said. Why is it so big again? Their home, a massive complex, took up the entire city block that it stood on. 4-story height. Thanks to a Wikipedia search by Ileana, Naruto learned that it was owned by Howard Stark in the 1950s, but it was sold off and used as office buildings. How Shuri got her hands on it, Naruto didn't want to know, but he was just happy that he got his hand on a base of operation. It was the best place to work from. After all, Ileana's apartment wasn't the best place to work from, and talking about things that might threaten the entire universe. Sure might have gone a little overboard though. But the bigger, the better, I think Naruto said. Anyway, Shear's gonna come over in an hour to set up some things in the basement. Don't be complaining when she's around. Jessica raised an eyebrow. Basement? A smile stretched across Naruto's face. Minutes later, whoa! Standing in the basement, the three of them looked over the wide space in front of them. In one half sat equipment that had yet to be unpacked. To their right, a dojo-like door blocked out the next room. This will be our bat cave, our error cave, our fortress of solitude, whatever you want to call it, Naruto said as he stepped forward. Jessica walked as she opened the dojo doors. As there was a small indoor training field, and there was a gym on the right side, and gym equipment that need to be unpacked. We're gonna be training here, Naruto said, stating the obvious. Training, Jessica said. As Naruto nodded, team exercise, sparring, the works. We all got to get into proper shape before we start working as an actual team. Ileana raised the eyebrow. Most of us are already in shape. Not the kind of shape we need to be, Naruto said. I don't want to send you guys away. Like what happened on Knowhere. I want you to be in that kind of shape. That means team building exercises and a shit ton of sparring so we know how each other fight, inside and out. I was hoping we could get some actual field work, Jessica said, a bit disappointed. Well, if you want to get out there, Naruto said, let's get out there. Let's, as in together, she asked. Of course, why not, Naruto said, as he looked over at Ileana. She can do the unpacking, seeing that she didn't want to help with the unloading on the truck, he said that smirk. Hey, Ileana said, but Naruto lead Jessica away, as Ileana looked at the boxes. What the hell, she said. Time skip. Inside of a bank, all the peoples were dropped to the ground. Get down, everyone, I said. Now! As everyone turned to see, it was Naruto Uzumaki, as he shoved his gun inside the bank teller's head. I'll kill all of you if any one of you make a move I don't like. Have you seen me on the TV? You've seen what I can do. So you bet I'll just do what I say. We will, the bank manager said. What do you want, money? Yes, fill it up, he said, as he threw a duffel bag towards the man. As the man filled it up, as he handed the bag back to Naruto. Alright, and if any of you come after me, I'll hunt you down and find you, and kill you in the worst way possible, as Naruto left the bank. As he just made his way outside, he then came upon his car as he put his hand on the door handle. But Webb then stick his hand to the door handle. What the hell? As someone landed on top of his car from above. Wow, the whole hero gig must have not paid as much as I thought, if you're robbing banks. As Naruto raised the eyebrow in a strangely dressed Samaritan, judging from his height and body shape, you could guess that he was a young man, as he was dressed in a strange spider suit. You know who I am, Naruto asked. Yeah, big fan. Well, I was one of your admirers. But robbing banks? Kid, if you know what I can do, you better watch yourself. Who's the kid? The boy said, trying to make his voice sound deeper. As the man then reached around and pulled out his gun, but the kid seemed to have a sixth sense as he jumped off the car. He waited to hear a gunshot, but he didn't hear any. As he then saw Naruto running. What the hell? Can't he like fly? As Naruto cursed to see the kid running after him, as he jumped on a wall, and he struggled to climb over it, but he flipped over it as he landed. He then started to run some more as he then came to a stop, as he was huffing and puffing. Huh, you're rather slow than I thought. What the hell? How did you get here, he said, as the kid was standing on the wall. I can actually climb walls, but I thought you could do that too. After everything I read on Wikipedia. As Naruto cursed as he threw a fist towards the kid's face. But the kid dodged the fist, as Naruto tried his best to hit the kid, but the kid kept on dodging every fist. Finally, after finding an opening, he drove his fist into the kid's stomach. The kid coughed as he stumbled back and fired off webs that hit Naruto right in his face. Naruto ripped it off, but his face was now disfigured. Damn it, kid, you ruined my mask, Naruto said. You're not Naruto Uzumaki, are you, the kid said. I suppose one could say that, but with his face, this voice. Who cares? He kills, ruin life. What's a few bank robbery? Adding in the crime. The imposter then peeled away the mask to show a white plain mask underneath. Huh. A mask under a mask. That's some Scooby-Doo thing, said the kid. I'm glad the last thing you said was a joke, the man said, as he pulled out a gun. But something landed behind him, and his entire body was electrified. As the man collapsed on the ground, as Jessica looked down at him. Hey, are you gonna come out, or do I have to handle everything? The kid narrowed his eyes. What? I keep forgetting that you can zap people like that, Naruto said. As the kid jerked in surprise, as he suddenly felt someone appearing behind him. He then turned sharply as he took a few steps back, seeing the real Naruto Uzumaki standing behind him. It's not a zap, How many times I have told you? It's a biological discharge. Same things Naruto said, as he heard police sirens. Let's get this guy down to the sidewalk. You have any handcuffs? Naruto asked. Where would I keep handcuffing this thing? She said, referring to her skin tight bodysuit. No one told you you had to wear it, Naruto said. He then turned towards the kid. Hey kid, you have some handcuffs? Oh, no, sorry. It's alright, Naruto said. But then the kid fired out webs and tied out the imposter hands. As both Jessica and Naruto looked at the kid, who was shifting awkwardly under their gaze. Hey, what are you? Naruto asked. Some kind of Spider-Man or something? Oh, I guess, Spider-Man said. Naruto chuckled as Jessica lifted the imposter over her shoulder. Well, Spider-Man, meet Spider-Woman. That's not my name, Jessica said as she started to walk off. Oh, it's definitely your name now, Naruto said as he walked after her. Hey, wait for me, Spider-Man said as he saw they were leaving him behind. But guys, we'll be ending this episode right here. If you want to see the next part, if you already know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. But for now, I'm out. See you guys soon. Peace. Well, tomorrow.